Hello everyone, I'm Gennaro Danna and I'm so happy today to discuss another time regarding radiology, regarding neuroradiology and the beauty of our specialty. And today I will try to discuss regarding the beauty of radiology and especially the importance of international collaboration inside Europe and especially outside Europe with our friends of United States of America, with a special colleague. She is Italian, but she is also very well involved in Radiological Society of North America. And so I'm so happy to introduce to you Alessia Guarnera from Rome. She is Secretary of Educational Committee of USOMI, so in Europe. She's also leader of Educational Committee Publication Group of USOMI. She's a member of Artificial Intelligence Task Force of European Society of Pediatric Radiology, and also member of a Neuroradiology Task Force of the same society. But one of the most important thing, because I'm so happy to have her today with us, is because she is member of RSNA Regional Committee for Europe, and she is also deputy editor of Images in Radiology for the journal Radiology and Radiology in Training. Meanwhile, she is also a neuroradiologist in Ospedale Pediatrico Bambino Gesù in Rome, and also researcher in neuroradiology in Sapienza University of Rome and St. Camillus International University of Health and Medical Sciences in Rome. Alessia, I suppose I did everything. I hope well, but before to start, this is the usual question for each guest in this format. La radiologia è bella? Is radiology and neuroradiology beautiful?
Thank you, Gennaro, for your kind introduction. And the question is very important. Is radiology beautiful? Indeed. Radiology is beautiful because it makes us see the invisible and detect pathology before it's even clinically possible. So I would say it is fascinating how radiology detects pathology before clinics. So early diagnosis, the guidance that radiology can offer to treatment, a precise guide, and the possibility to change patients' life. Moreover, radiology is one of the most innovative fields in medicine. Why? Because we've got emerging technology, we've got AI. AI has changed the way we are radiologists. So from the support it offers to the diagnosis, to decision making. So if radiology is beautiful, yes, radiology in a nutshell can be early diagnosis, precision, and innovation.
Well, wonderful answer, Alessia. In your career, you have taken a very international path and have also been involved, and you are also involved in with RSNA, Radiological Society of North America. Many colleagues see scientific societies as distant words. And I also faced this thing when a lot of time I told about the opportunity to stay connected with the international colleague. What are the initial steps for a trainee fellow or an early career radiologist who wants to learn more about, in this case, Radiological Society of North America?
So this is a very good question. When I'm asked for initial steps, I think that initial steps should be easy, quick, and high value. So my first tip about RSNA is becoming a member. This is very important because there's free membership for trainees, for fellows, and there are several discounts. So first thing, becoming a member and stepping into the community. The second tip is sign up for the newsletter. This is important because the key opportunities are veiculed also via the newsletter. For example, opportunities to serve in committees or grants. It is very important and very quick. Also, you can tailor your profile on the site so you receive effectively what you need. And last but not least, obviously, take your time to look into the website, because becoming Becoming part of the system is also knowing the system. So take your time to navigate the site, to search for opportunity, to know how you can apply for opportunity. So my, say, golden trio is like becoming a member. It's free, so it's very convenient. Sign up for the newsletter and take your time to navigate the site.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Also, because even for me, discovering opportunity to collaborate started simply surfing the website of the societies I was interested in, and it's also sometimes strange the reaction from the other people that say, "Oh, but how do you do for be involved in that way?" Sometimes I also answered, I wrote an email. And a lot of people was so surprised about it, and I also answered, "Don't be shy. Let's try. In case of a negative answer, you will receive just a negative answer, and stop. No other thing." So how can trainees or early career radiologists, but also mid-career radiologists, get involved with RSNA?
This is a nice question, and I'm totally in love with you. So communication is key. Sometimes sending an email it's easy. Sometimes you can have a different answer from expected. My suggestion in this case, since getting involved and getting started is always difficult, is surf the site and look for opportunities. For example, I saw many opportunities about the RSNA just reading the newsletter or surfing the site. To get started, I would say that RSNA offers many workshops. Workshops are useful because you understand and you learn how you do things. Just an example overall for international students, trainees, and fellows, we've got the IRIA. IRIA is the Introduction to Research for International Young Academics. This is a very important program. Why? Because you've got a 4-day program during the RSNA, so during the annual meeting, in which you are offered seminars, lectures on statistics, on how to conduct research, on the ethics, on sustainability. So during these 4 days, you have the opportunity to learn very much from top tier experts, and you have the opportunity to network with peers from all over the world, to network with mentors, because I think that RSNA is also the place where things happen first. And when you create your bonds, you create your networks, and these networks can lead you to collaborations. So the first is always have a look at workshops and try to apply to workshops. If you are more on the editorial side or of the society, you can also apply to be a member of the trainee editorial board. So speaking about trainee editorial boards, there are boards for every single journal of the RSNA. So radiology, radiographics, imaging cancer, artificial intelligence, radiology advances. If you apply to the journal, you have got the possibility to experiment 1 year program that is wonderful in my opinion, because you are paired with a mentor. So there's a one-to-one relation in which your mentor guides you and teach you how to review papers. So it was very important for me, because when you start reviewing papers, you feel like, oh my God, I'm looking at a paper written from a very high quality scientist. Will I be able? The mentor guides you, tell you this is important, this not. And also learning how to review is learning also how to write good papers. So it's a win-win situation. Moreover, you're offered many lectures, so monthly lectures on statistics, how to conduct research, how editors decide the papers that are going to be published, but also you have the possibility to be part of the meetings of the deputy editor boards, so of their virtual meeting, and you also have the possibility to connect and collaborate. And this is very important, because part of my path was highly influenced by the experience I made during these workshops and during my time at the trainee editorial board.
Okay, great answer. So full of suggestions for the colleagues. And regarding your experiences in radiology, you actually wrote both of these experiences, right, recently, I suppose.
Yes, so what was striking, in my opinion, about these programs was not that the programs were high quality, was that they were unknown. So the head of my department did not know about them, the trainees, the fellows didn't know about them, and I was framed. How is it possible that these programs are not so well known? And I understood that the chance I had was a chance that was reserved only for people that knew the programs. Therefore, I wanted to give back and give the chance to colleagues, to trainees, to fellow, to know the programs and to apply for them. So I wrote two papers. The first on my own was about the IRIA experience. So how IRIA was organized, my experience, because it was both a professional and personal growth experience. On the other side, I wrote a paper on the trainee editorial board. And the nice thing was that this paper was co-authored with some peers, but also the editor of radiology and the editor of radiology in training. So this is the real proof that it is a way, it is a place where you can connect, when you can create collaborations. And knowing things, knowing information is very powerful, because if you do not know them, you cannot apply them, you cannot live these experiences.
Yeah, I really agree with you, because a lot of time, often the possibilities are just on the next page of a website that you overlooked sometimes. And you mentioned these programs like IRIA and trainee editorial board. But there are several opportunities from RSNA. What other opportunities are there for trainees and also for early career radiologists to get involved with that society?
Okay, so yeah, you're right. Opportunities are right behind the corner, especially when we're talking about the RSNA. So following the footstep and talking about the possibilities in the editorial world, just like the training editorial board, but for early to middle career radiologists, there are international editorial fellowships. For example, the RSNA, that is the CRESL International Editorial Fellowship. Why a fellowship on the editorial system? Because if the training editorial board answer to the question, will I be able to do a proper review? This fellowship answered the question, what is behind the editorial system? What is behind the editorial process? And these fellowships, like the CRESL, helps you to follow a mentored path in which you learn and you meet the editors-in-chief of the major SNA journals. You have the possibility to develop a project in the time in which you're a fellow, and you have got the possibility to learn how editors act, how editors think, and make you learn how to be a good editor in your life. So it's like paving your way by looking at programs and looking at opportunities. But editorial opportunities are not the only opportunities that RSNA offers. Other opportunities are volunteering opportunities, just like serving in a committee. When I surfed the internet, surfed the RSNA site, I saw that RSNA is a huge society with a lot of committees. And as a trainee, I was thinking, oh, these committees are so nice. I would really want it to be involved. But committees are for top-tier experts. This is not correct, because RSNA is very inclusive, and nearly all the committees have got resident members. Who is a resident member? Is a trainee, is a fellow, is a young radiologist who serves as the resident member. And it was the way in which I started serving on the regional committee for Europe of RSNA. So I was a resident member, and I remember entering the room, 10 people around the table, and they were all leaders. So I had the opportunity to meet and to know the opinion of leaders on health systems, on radiology, and so on. So I got their perspectives, and it was also my opportunity to share my perspective, because for a trainee, it is difficult to perceive the perspective of a leader, and for a leader, sometimes it's difficult to feel the perspective of a trainee. But this was a common ground on which we were able to talk. I understand that it is not always easy to dedicate your time to serving on committees, because it's a 3-year appointment. So you need to dedicate your time, to dedicate your energies. But there are many other opportunities, for example, short-term volunteering opportunities. There is the possibility to sign up for the RSNA speaker database, for example. In this case, the RSNA may identify moderators, may identify speakers for many different formats, from the annual meeting to other forms of course. Or just for early to middle career radiologists, it's possible to serve on the RSNA abstract reviewer system. In this case, you serve as the gatekeeper. Why? Because RSNA only accept high-level abstracts or posters. So in this case, you are serving the community to ensure that the quality of presentation is very high. And absolutely, another very important way to participate and gain visibility is to present at the RSNA annual meeting. So even for a trainee who really wants to gain visibility and present his or her own research during the meeting, it is possible to submit your paper, your work, your research, and access the system. So you go there, you present your work, and it might open other doors. Which doors? For example, the award doors, because the RSNA, they really want to involve young radiologists, trainees, fellowship. There are many different awards. For example, the trainee award is dedicated to the best poster or to the best presentation. So my real tip is try. Do whatever you prefer. Look for what you really want, but get involved as soon as possible.
Well, you you talked about annual meeting, and my mind went to one small detail, not so small in my case, the ribbons on the badge. Because in my at the moment only one presence at RSNA, I tried to get the record of length of my ribbons collection, and it was really useful. Why I cited the ribbons? Because when you are at RSNA, you can collect ribbons on your badge, and there is a badge for first presence. Then the ribbon of abstract and exhibit presenter, winner of an award, or a reviewer, and also getting these ribbons are a sign, and it's a nice sign. It's also interesting. In my case, it was a sort of contest for me to try to get all the ribbons reflected my commitment at RSNA. I hope to even be longer in the next years. And also you cited the possibility to serve as abstract reviewer. It's a huge job. It's very satisfying because you can also learn for your activity and even for your knowledge, because you sometimes see some not so high quality abstract, but you can also see a lot of outstanding presentations, and reviewing these abstracts, you can still learn something new, and also try to get inspired for the future.
This is
Also,
very correct. I mean, you're totally right. The first is like ribbons are like medals at the RSNA. So it is like an honor to gain such ribbons. It is really, really important. It's like an honor for me. The second, that you're totally right. You can't understand how much I learned by serving as an abstract reviewer. So what I really remember are like really outstanding abstract, both of posters and oral presentation. There's no real difference about the quality, but I really learned very much. And also I perceived how many trainees really want to emerge and really want to change the world of radiology. And this is amazing for me.
Yeah, but going beyond getting involved, also for people that don't want to be involved in actively, how can trainees use RSNA resources to build their skills and professional profile?
Okay, these are two good questions. So let's start with building your skills. So building your skills is not very easy because skills are not only being a good radiologist, but there are many soft skills that I value very much. So my first suggestion for trainees, especially as trainees that are not from the US and work abroad or are based abroad, is Ed Central. Why Ed Central of the RSNA? Because is a digital platform where you can find nearly everything. So recorded lecture, case-based learning, you can have the opportunity to gain credits. I really like Ed Central because it's the opportunity to learn what you want and when you want. Sometimes our schedules are very, very tight. And so it is difficult to say, I want to dedicate 2 hours, 1 hour to something that I really want to learn. It can be ethics, sustainability, abdominal radiology. So Ed Central is the way to learn whenever I want, what I want, and in the way I want. So my first suggestion is always Ed Central. The second, that is a little bit more on the spot, is the Spotlight course. So there are many Spotlight courses. These are like 2 days courses on a specific topic. Not necessarily in the US. There are many of these courses that the RSNA organize in Europe or in Asia. These courses are very nice because there are smaller meetings, so it is not so crowded, smaller meetings with very high quality leaders in a specific field. It can be pediatrics, can be neuro, can be genitourinary imaging. The point is that you've got the possibility to really learn on the topic you love and meet mentors and peers with your same passion. I think that the Spotlight course is not only about learning, but also about networking, in which you know people that are really into the things you're into and where collaboration starts. Obviously, not only about neuropediatrics or other fields of radiology, there are also many other programs, and these programs are AI related. For example, there's the AI certificate in which you can learn how AI algorithms are created, how they are evaluated, how they are implemented in practice. So I think these are some tips that I can give to someone who wants to build his or her own CV or the skills. Talking about profile, this is a little bit more difficult. Generally, when I meet trainees, I can see their patients. There are some trainees or fellows with very good ideas. So they speak about their research ideas and they are incredible. You're like, oh my God, how is it possible for such a young radiologist? And what they lack the most in this case are two things. The first is the method, because you need to translate an idea into something that is practical, usable. And the second is funding, as most times. So in this case, there are some dedicated grant, the resident fellow grant for the RSNA. In this case, RSNA organizes this type of grants that help trainees or fellows to reach what they really want. So to take their ideas, put their ideas into practice and reach what they really want, because what they really want is to do a specific research on a specific idea and also learn the methods, because these are very practical grants in which you do not only translate your idea into practice, but you only also learn how to do that. And this is very, very important. So I value grants very, very much.
Okay, but it's so many opportunities. There are so many opportunities. So for not only Americans trainee, but the trainee from all over the world. We are based in Italy, so please don't be shy. And remember that consider that I also discussed and showed in a video that I would update in the next weeks regarding the importance to be a member of these societies for young trainees, for residents. The membership is free or is a very low price. For RSNA is free, so please don't waste these opportunities. Looking ahead, how can RSNA support trainees as they can take the next step in their careers?
Yes, this is an important topic because sometimes when you are into the residency, you follow the path, you follow the shift. This
Okay.
so what the trainees really need is a connection between what they do and what they want to be. Career Connect by RSNA give the possibility to know about fellowships or know about job opportunities. Because often the difficult thing is not, okay, I need to produce this application for the fellowship, or should I be accepted? Will I be accepted? No, the important thing is knowing the opportunity. So Career Connect helps trainees to learn if there are position to be a fellow or position to work in a specific place. So Career Connect can lead you to what you really want to be after your residency.
Okay, great. I noted that we are discussing about around 27 minutes, so it's time to go to the conclusion. What final advice would you give to trainees or early career radiologists starting their journey with RSNA?
My final tips are there are encouragement. So do not be afraid to try and fail. Why? Because trying and failing is part of our personal growth. So even if the opportunity is very competitive, please try. You will fail, but before or after you will succeed, but you will never regret trying. My second advice is don't be afraid to ask support from peers or from mentors. Why? Because a small tip can lead you to a big success. Last but not least is do not be afraid to change your perspective and to accept to catch opportunities because the best always comes from the unexpected.
Well, wonderful final words from Alessia Guarnera that I say thank you for being with me and to accept the idea to stay 30 minutes discussing about the possibilities from RSNA for early career radiologists. Thank you again for staying with us, with me. And regarding everyone, I say thank you to watch this interview. I hope to have Alessia Guarnera another time, maybe or another next time in Italian or even in English. No problem at all. I would have not problem to discuss with her in Romance on in or in Neapolitan, but we are so happy to have been so international in this way. And as usual, from Legnano and from Rome to the world, see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you, Gennaro. Thank you all. Goodbye. Ciao.